Like I've been conditioned.
I just praised you.
Have,
What was that? Can't hear you anymore. No.
test, test, test. How
There
about
we
now?
go.
Okay.
Yeah. Just,
I was
just get
saying
that rust off.
Pavlov's
Get that rust off.
Pavlov's podcast is what I said. That
See,
joke has
your
lost
joke
all
is just,
meaning.
yep, there you go. Skilled joke.
Jesus Christ.
Little
Oh,
rusty. Little rusty. What did you do? How did that happen?
what do you mean? Oh, I think I just like knocked the little
Sorry.
XLR cable connection point, and occasionally that happens where it's just like, you know what? I'm not going to work for a second.
Terrible.
Got me some coffee. I'm ready to talk.
Yeah, I was going to be real upset. I had to make coffee. Not only did I had to grind coffee.
I do that
was
every
like,
morning.
I don't.
Well, I have a coffee grinder as
I
opposed
do.
to like a manual one. You know what I mean? To be fair, I don't mean like that. I mean like
Oh, no. Hey, you push down on it.
you push it down. No, I have a one where you just push a button and then it grinds it. You like put them into the top and it
Oh,
grinds
that's
it.
nice. No,
Yeah.
mine is like you hold it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was like there are no coffee grounds. I was like, wait, I've got some beans in here. It was about to get desperate.
Yeah. Well, so I'm excited. You have summoned me to.
It wasn't on
'cause
purpose. That's the
you have
weird thing.
things to discuss. It seemed like it was on purpose.
I feel like that should
I
be a
did-
story you could write.
I did talk. Wait, what about what?
Just like an accidental summoning of a demon.
Oh, interesting. I don't hate that. It's like, whoops. It's kind of like, oh my god, I was gonna make a really random cut to a show. It's not even good. It's like, remember when in Dragon Ball GT, Emperor Pilaf accidentally made Goku small? Did you ever?
I didn't watch GT.
You
I
didn't
did
watch?
not
I
watch
mean,
GT. I was not a GT. I
I
was
mean,
Dragon
no.
Ball.
To be fair,
I was Dragon Ball Z.
no one liked GT. GT just existed, and then you continued watching, or you started it because you liked Z, and then you kind of
Okay.
just put up with it if you finished it. I never finished it,
I was not.
but
that
you
person.
never started it.
I was not that person.
Yeah. But yeah, you summoned
you are.
me.
You're in red. You showed up in
I'm
red.
in red. I'm red.
Like,
Unfortunately, I couldn't get
You summon a demon.
Tanya.
We have to talk now.
I couldn't get Tanya.
No.
She didn't want to. She wanted to watch Pluribus. She's like, oh, it gives me an excuse. But then she's like, but I don't have time, so no, I'm not going to do it.
But she could talk about the other stuff.
I didn't pitch the other stuff. I just pitched Pluribus.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
So having read Save the Cat, I am now an expert in pitching. And I
There
feel
is
like,
no way she knows what Save the Cat is or cares what Save the Cat is.
no. She doesn't have to know what Save the Cat is. Having read Save the Cat, I know how to have pitched that and been like, no, it's not the Pluribus thing. It's the other stuff. It's
Okay.
Sinners getting nixed.
I did talk to her. I did mention that, and she didn't. I did mention that. I didn't dig into the weeds of it, but
You done
I did
fucked up,
mention
Ron. You're the worst demon ever.
You
I'm
know,
summoning you again.
you could have you had contact with my demon alter ego. You could have reached out.
You didn't tell me you were going to do it.
I thought it was implied. I thought it was implicit. Apparently, you say things, and I think, oh, he's craving action here. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of it. I'll do it. And obviously, one of them didn't work out. I'm here, so
I feel like this
50-50.
demon story is writing itself.
That just reminds me of there's a YouTube short. I think I've told you about it before, where a guy summons a genie and he's just like is asking the genie to do terrible things. But and even worse, a genie is not even a cool genie. He doesn't just snap his finger and things happen. Like he actually has to do the
Go
thing.
do the thing.
Yeah, like so he asked this guy to kill him, and he goes like, oh, and you see him like on a roof with a sniper, and then just like really depressed. And I'm just
Never
like,
seen
oh, not even a genie. It's just like a
pretty good.
guy. It's just a
Trapped in
guy.
a bottle.
Anyway, so yeah, Save the Cat. So a few weeks ago, however long ago, I recommended that book for you. It was maybe a little bit more. I remember I was on vacation, so it was probably a month ago. Recommended it. It was a book that I said, hey, it's a great book, but it pisses me off.
Did you say it
But
was
a lot
great?
of good information. I said it's very helpful to learning. I don't
Yes.
remember what I said specifically.
I
It's
remember
helpful to
helpful.
learning the language of storytelling, and specifically when it comes to movies, but it's also applicable, frankly, to a lot of mediums. and boiling things down to sort of their core and their essence, that can be helpful, because a lot of times when we're writing stories, we have these specific things that we like, and all the stuff in between that make up the important skeleton of a story that people actually like to read are missing. And this book is helps to identify those things. So you've been reading it, you've been
Yep.
enjoying it, or
Yep.
well, you've been, I guess, finding it helpful.
Yeah.
Is enjoy the correct word?
No.
Okay.
To the point where I've stopped reading it. I got to probably, I think it's 183 pages. I think I stopped at like 150 something, like 140 something, because I could just tell I had gotten to the part where I felt like all of his utility was done.
And his old man yelling at clouds
Yes.
stuff is coming out.
Yep. Yeah. Because a lot of it was like there's just like this weird stuff that I think you brain dumped. Like there was this one thing where he was saying you can't handle two magical things in one
So
instance.
I mentioned I think about that so much, because I remember reading that and thinking back, this is 2006 when I read it, thinking like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's like, and in my mind I'm thinking, and I had not grown up as like a comic book fan or as a reader. I had been growing up with movies and manga, everything was like pretty separate and all that. And then for the most part, but then like, so the MCU wasn't really a thing yet. And I think, oh yeah, like in a movie that makes sense. You wouldn't want too many magic of things, because it's like the average person. I think what it comes down to is not just the average person, but the average closed-minded boomer mentality of like, oh, I could only handle one thing at a time.
So much,
I can't
yeah.
buy anything. And it's basically my dad imagining, what can my dad watch? And he could only handle so much. Like he can't even handle fantasy on any level. I remember trying to get him watch Lord of the Rings, and he was
I
just
remember
like,
you told me you were trying to watch on like a tiny TV.
on a tiny TV. And specifically, there was a scene in the Two Towers. Was it the Two Towers? No, he made it to Return of the King, where the scene between Aragorn and Gandalf, is like, how do we know Frodo is alive? And he's just like, what does your heart tell you? And then my dad was like, I can't even hear them. Why are they whispering? Jammer, don't ever make a movie where they're whispering like this. This is stupid.
And I was just TV's like, 1,000 years old.
Yeah, and then literally whenever like anything pops up, like a text, it's like, it had a dial, and you had a dial, and it had like those little prong things that you put in order to connect your gaming system. Kids don't know what we're talking about, but that's fine. But anyways, that is the type of person that Blake Snyder, the writer of Save the Cat, is writing for.
So that's the weird thing. It's not even just that, right? Like he would say, don't do two magical things at the same time. Part of his argument for don't do that was he's like, well, I could accept that this one kid got bit by a spider on one side of town, but then this other thing happens to this other guy on the side of town that makes him in the Green Goblin. So he starts conflating these two ideas, coincidence and two magical systems existing in the same thing. It's like those arguments start to bleed together in his chapter. I'm like, all right, guy, like I can tell I've reached the limits of your imagination. And to your point about comic book, like this is all comic books. Like this is it, 100%. It's all coincidence.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think about that a lot because of just how much the landscape has changed, how much Marvel, the MCU has made. It's like, what was I watching? What was the most recent Marvel thing? No, I guess it wasn't any of the recent Marvel movies.
Can't even think.
But maybe it was just sort of the juxtaposition.
Fantastic Four?
It was Fantastic Four, but I realize what I'm saying now doesn't really apply here. Doesn't matter. It wasn't. My point is that they have like literally Doctor Strange shit over here, Thor shit over there, and it's fine. That's normal. That's like whatever. Or even She-Hulk, between like specifically She-Hulk, because of like all of the different types of things. You have like Wong doing his magic stuff, you have her science stuff, and then you have other random shit like that one guy who is immortal and is trying to escape all of his ex-wives. That thing as well. And other superheroes, or she's working with, I forget who, Daredevil, among others. It's just a lot. It's a lot. And, say what you will about. I feel
like bringing up She-Hulk.
It
proves his point.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Because you like She-Hulk.
But I like She-Hulk. That's not the point. The
Most
point is,
don't.
The thing is, it's nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. The things that people don't like about She-Hulk aren't related to, I can't buy that there's two magic systems in this movie.
It is about what I think people can handle. And I think for me, not a magical system, but it got too meta. That's
fair.
the part where I lost it.
Yeah. All right. It didn't lose me. I like She-Hulk. I thought She-Hulk was fun. Like, it wasn't like, it was no Thunderbolts, but it was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, so what have you learned, Jonesy? What was the best and the worst?
Quiz time. The best part was, I think, the structure. I wish I had my notebook, actually.
Go get it. Fuck it.
So in the beginning.
Oh, I thought it was like in the next room. It was right there. Okay.
Oh, no, it was right there. Right there. Oh, I should have done a thing like just pretend like I was walking downstairs. So I did like the studious student thing where I took notes on it.
Yeah, I saw in the things that you were sending me, you were marking up your book and everything.
Oh yeah, I mark up the book. Yeah, so that's why I bought the book, because I was like, I was gonna what? Gotta write notes.
No, because I'm never gonna refer back to them again. It's like, why? It's wasting time.
It helps me remember.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying it doesn't for me.
I like the idea of a log line. It gives you an anchor point, something to keep coming back to, and it helps you remember what the story is ultimately about that you're telling. To the point about pitching, I got in there, and I like the idea of pitching your story to as many people as possible, because as you start talking about what you do and don't, or no, I'm sorry, when you start talking about the plot points, people give you feedback about what they do and don't like, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the end all of what you do with your story, but I do think that is an interesting touch point. So I think you have to have a strong enough narrative voice and perspective to be able to receive that input without it completely derailing everything that you do. And then, like, the last thing that I liked about it is some of the stuff that he talked about, especially about the log line or like the save the cat moment. It made me stop reading the book and write those things from my story. Like I could just see my story flowing better based on how he was saying to structure it. And so while, Blank Check, probably not the best movie.
How dare you? That's
probably
right.
not the best movie. Hey, listen, I saw it as a kid. I saw it in the theater. I enjoyed it.
We were all at that time still weirded out that the lady kissed the kid.
I wasn't.
You weren't weirded out?
I was of that age. I was of that
weird.
age.
No, it was still weird. She's old. Okay. It's weird. As an adult, it's weird, right? Okay.
I think you're probably right, but I think that time period, like, weird stuff happened in movies all the time.
No, that's fair, yeah.
Because didn't that happen in Big? Didn't she kiss him in Big too?
Well, he was an adult body. She didn't know he was a kid.
I'm not sure that makes it better.
It definitely
the audience
better. No, I know that, but the point is that, like, legitimately, this adult woman kissed a little kid, as opposed to kissing an adult, and then it turns out she didn't know. Obviously, we knew, but she didn't know that he was. It's different. It's
different from the perspective of the character, but for us, the audience,
it's also different in real life, as far as that's different.
So that was probably the best. Just ultimately the idea that it made me want to write more made it great. Stuff I didn't like, a lot of it again came from just his perspective about life. There was one moment that I think I sent to you where he said something about try and replace God with Allah and see how it works for you. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, what are we talking about here? What's happening?
Here we go. He said, gods and aliens don't mix. Why? Because it's just two sets of different kinds of magic. It's double mumbo jumbo. And if you don't believe me, try substituting the word Allah for the word God and see if your brain doesn't melt.
What does that mean? What does that even mean? I got it. Like the first half, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it. And then God and Allah, like, how does that, what?
Listen, so that was the moment I was like, I think we're good.
Was it maybe?
At that point,
I'm trying to think. What is he saying? I kind of
he's including in. Oh, you're trying to understand.
I'm trying to understand. So what I'm trying to understand is it he thinking that maybe, as a religious person, if you were either like Muslim or Christian, and then you swapped one for the other. It's like, oh, but no. And then he said, see if your brain doesn't melt. What? I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, so it's the idea. He's conflating the idea of gods and aliens and then saying, what about Allah and God? Doesn't that? And like, what? So that was clearly, that not clearly, that was to me the worst part of the book. And that was the moment where I said, all right, we're just going to speed past the rest of this stuff. But up until that moment, I was pretty into what I was seeing. And what made it funny was I think I had started looking up the book. I started looking up the book, and then obviously Reddit comes up, and people just hate this book on Reddit. I was like, I don't like, I get not liking it because it's too simplistic, but I couldn't understand what they didn't like about it. I was like, okay, now I get it. Now
Well,
I
it's funny
understand where some
because
of this is coming from.
it's funny as you were reading it because you were sending me updates like all these cool things you were learning, and I'm like, oh yeah, the book really is good. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if he's thinking to himself, wow, Jammer said this guy pissed him off. Why? And I was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should just revisit it, and like that won't be a thing. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's you started showing that. I'm like, oh yeah, yep, that happened too. Yep,
Yeah.
those were things. Hang on one second, actually. So I don't know if you know this, but Save the Cat spawned a series of books that pertain to each medium.
Yep.
You have
I
Save the
did see
Cat
that.
writes a novel,
Yep.
which is what we have here. We also have Save the Cat writes an adult novel. There is also Save the Cat Strikes
Horror.
Back.
One of those is
Strikes
a horror
Back.
book as well.
Save the Cat. I think it Strikes Back. I think I have that here too.
Did he write them
Anyway.
all?
No.
Okay.
So, for example, these two novel ones are written by Jessica Brody, who I always confuse with somebody that I know and is not that person. The person I know is Jennifer Brody. That's why. I was a part of like this Google group from like
Yeah.
the 2000s. Yeah, and it was like a writing Google group or an author Google group that she led. And I remember thinking like, oh, she wrote this. And I was like, oh, no, she didn't. I don't think. Am I wrong?
So while you're looking at see that, here's the trajectory. At one point, I wrote, "Fuck, he's good." I immediately started smiling. It was a description of a scene I'd never read. The next update I send you is when he starts talking about his 3 points for amping up a great log line. Offer the most conflict in that for situation, good. Have the longest way to go emotionally, and are the most demographically pleasing. And so that was the one where I was like, I don't know about that. And so I think that was the next thing that I sent you, the last thing that I sent you before got to the God and Allah. And I felt like at that point I was starting to see the icky parts of his brain.
It is interesting, just sort of that's just stuff that was pretty common. Even so, I had a short-lived stint in LA where I was doing pitches of cartoons around LA, and I remember my co-writer at the time and everyone, like, it was pretty openly sexist as well. Like the cartoon sphere was just like, oh no, we don't do cartoons with female leads because they just don't do well. And it wasn't like no one, like people were just like, no, like, oh, it was just like accepted. It was accepted, and you just dealt with it. And I remember this pitch that my co-writer and I did for the series where we had developed sort of was A plot, B plot, one revolving around like male characters, and then like one of the characters' sister. And then over time, we had been like, the sister's way more interesting, but we can't lead with the sister because the sister's not going to get anything done. No one's going to want it because of that, even though she was objectively the more interesting character of the group. And we both clearly wanted a series with that character instead.
It would have been interesting if you did a Scott Pilgrim, right? So the Netflix version where it's like, oh, Scott Pilgrim is the lead, and then he dies at the end of the first episode.
That'd be good.
You've gotten away with that.
That was such a rug pull. It was so cool.
Good.
I remember watching that and being like, so like, when's he coming back? Is he coming back? Like, or what's happening? Like, is this just going to be slightly different? Like, I was expecting a faithful adaptation. I expected about halfway through things to divert from the movie into the graphic
Yeah,
novel, because that's where things kind of diverted in the the graphic novel and all that in the movie. But no, it was just straight up. We're just gonna do something different,
I think I'm
which
gonna
in
watch it again.
retrospect made it so cool because it now literally makes you have three separate canons rather than the movie being the weird one that finished before the graphic novel and therefore it was different at the very end. It's now just like, no, there's three canons. There's the movie canon, there's the graphic novel canon, and then there's the animated series canon. They're all like three different takes on like the same type of story, and it's just really cool that way.
Yeah, it
And then
actually
the
kind of reminded me of. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was, and then the very end kind of ties everything together into like a time travel slash multiple universe
Multiverse.
angle. Yeah, I can't talk.
More coffee. Keep drinking. It reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 2, where in the beginning you start out as Solid Snake. This might mean nothing to you.
No,
So, you,
I played. I know.
okay. And then the whole time you're like, why am I riding? When am I going to go back to being Solid Snake? That
Yep.
was that to me, except I think this just did a better story. It made it more interesting. And so I wondered, but I was still enjoying what I was seeing. So that
Did you
desire
ever
kind of went away.
watch Chef? The movie Chef, Jon Favreau.
No.
No. Okay. Is this worth explaining? Because it's like the most minute of connections. So
I'll watch it.
probably
Just tell me to
okay.
watch
So
it.
okay,
I'll
just
watch
watch
it.
it.
We'll
But
talk about it.
you're not going to be able to see the connection because it's very very specific. Kirsten and I
Don't
have
tell me what if I do.
the term deep cut, that
Yeah.
people use like, oh, deep cut. Kirsten and I, like, we don't have deep cuts. We have random cuts because they're not even deep. They're just like one little thing at a random
Yeah.
point. That it would be a random cut of that movie, not even deep.
I'm going to
just
watch it and see if I
random.
can find your random cut as it relates to this. All right.
I'm
gonna
ready.
log it and I'll watch it. We'll figure it
Log
out.
it, watch it, let me know. Report back. But overall, net plus for this book, right? It sounds like you learned a
Yeah.
lot. It sounds to me like, because as somebody, you've watched thousands, I'm sure thousands of movies, and you have innate storytelling sort of ingrained in you, and now it seems like you have like, oh, and you specifically said this, having all this language to be able to explain the things you already know is like empowering.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
La puerta.
Yeah, that's really fun. I enjoy that. So, and so the other thing that it makes me not want to do is watch other people's stories. And this is going to sound a little weird. I was going to watch TV last night. I was like, no, why am I investing in someone else's story when I can be working on mine?
Oh, interesting.
That's the other impact that it had.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't have that thought at all. Well, I think maybe it comes in phases. I remember back in the 2000s, I was just like reading and consuming all those types of books, those storytelling books, and I think focusing on that stuff. But I mean, then you like want to create, and then like you get burnt out, and then you kind of have to refill your cup, so to speak, by like observing other stories. But at this stage, you just want to do it, and I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I got to a moment last night where I was going to ask you, like, because I know that you have stuff on in the background. You either listen to music or you're watching something, but
Not
usually
really.
I thought no, I thought you did.
Maybe lo-fi these days. It depends.
Yeah.
So there was a period where I was able to listen to music, but it was because it was like the same shit over and over again. And it was, what was it? It was
But you also told me you
mostly-
made playlists specific for the story that you were writing.
I do, and those are usually vibes or things that I
Okay.
listen to while running or doing other things that get me in the mood for the story.
Okay.
Very rarely do I listen to, and when I do, I usually play a song or two and then stop it when I'm like in a moment, and then I never get back to turning it on. Or lo-fi, or classical music, or like instrumental type music, but nothing super consistent. And frankly, whenever I put it on for a while and then I pause it, I'm like, oh, my mind is so much clearer now. I can go ahead and actually do the thing I was trying to do this whole time much easier.
That's funny. Can I tell you a thing I did before we get to the topic that I wish I hadn't done? I turned on my social media again.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. Well, because December was going to be the month that I spent working on my story. And I did in a way. I read the book. But in order to help facilitate that, I turned off my social media. And then I got back on today. I'm like, I don't think I need this. And there are two reasons for it. The first one is the obvious one. Like social media is just kind of shit. Um, and it's a reflection of the world, I think. And that's part of what makes it so shit. And there was a
Yeah.
period of time where, like, I'm old enough to remember when Instagram was just people sharing pictures of their life, their stuff, their day to day. Now it's just QVC, if you know what that is.
What
It's
the
just
hell is
like,
QB? Or are you talking about like an
exactly.
infomercial?
Yeah. So there was a channel that all it was just like people selling their wares. And that's kind of what it is now.
Hmm.
And I find that less enjoyable. And then the second reason is I think that it retards communication a little bit. So a friend of mine immediately was like, "Where the hell have you been?" I was like, "Well, I exist on iMessage as well. You could just send me a message and ask, 'Hey, where did you go?'" And she was like, "Well, I had some memes that I wanted to send you, and you were just nowhere to be found."
It's like
And
text
like,
me.
so that right there kind of encapsulated what I don't like about social media. It's like, I prefer this kind of conversation, like talk about a thing. Like I send you a thing and then I talk to you about the thing, as opposed to just like sending you a thing, expecting you to react, and then we move on.
Hmm.
And I prefer actual conversations about stuff. And so that was the second reason where I'm like, I didn't miss this at all.
What's interesting is I think this reminds me back when I was editor in chief at LRM, and I created a Slack channel for everybody.
Mhm.
And I remember when everyone was transitioning away from Slack to Discord, so that way we could be more interactive with other people. I remember being like,
I
"Oh,
did
I
that.
don't wanna, I don't
That was
wanna
me.
go to Discord." But it was smart. It makes sense. But for me, I now looking back, I know why it was hard for me. Is because for me, I'm like, when it comes to having like discussing things, like give me 5 to 10 people that I can interact with on a regular basis, and I'm like, cool. But then just open it up to other people. I'm like, I don't want to make an effort. Everyone's going to be talking. Nobody's going to be listening because they're all just going to be sharing their own shit instead of listening and going back and forth. And it becomes more of like just people posting things that aren't really engaging, just their own ideas. And I'm like, it's
Yep.
not as fun.
Yep. No, I get that. So yeah, that was it. I don't miss it. And the longer I go without it, the more I'm like, do I actually need this?
So no, you don't, unless you were trying to be one of those people who are QVCing their own things like me, which is something I need to be better at. So
And this is the other reason why I turned it back on. I tell you, I'm going back to Korea in the summer.
no, wait
Yeah,
for how
so
long?
2 years.
Oh, nice, cool.
Without my family.
Oh, less nice.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
for 2 years?
2 years.
Why not your family?
Because then I'd have to stay for 3. It's like a weird catch 22. So
It is, yeah.
my son, who interrupted us while we were talking just now, they just changed accompanied Korea tours to 3 years, which would mean he would miss his first year of high school and then have to change high schools coming back,
Hmm.
versus me going by myself for 24 months and everyone could just stay here and, build a community and go to school. And so it's the risk reward of that. And what makes it worse was I was talking to someone yesterday. So she's a colonel, and we just ended up talking about this. I've known her for a while, or almost like 14 years.
Jesus,
And yeah,
you
and
known her as long as you're has old more than your son's been alive.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Um, and she was talking about how I was just, hey, so what would you do, ma'am? Like, what do you think? And she started talking about how she didn't think it had that much of an impact because he actually did end up having to switch high schools. She said that when he wrote his entrance letter for a school, that he talked about this and what it was like having to switch high schools and not having any friends and all that. She was like, I felt so small when he did that. And I was like, fuck.
Because she
And
thought in her mind, oh, it was fine. But then when he wrote about it, he was just
yeah.
like, it did actually affect me. And she
Mhm.
just didn't notice or realize
and,
it.
and I don't think that she didn't think that it had zero impact. It just, she didn't realize how much of an impact it had until he wrote that letter, and she felt horrible. And
Hmm.
so now I'm like, and it's trying to figure out, is my absence the worst option, or is it or is it changing schools and switching around? And I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if there's a right answer. There
I
isn't
don't
a
think
right
there is.
answer.
That's where I
Yeah.
came. That's the conclusion. There's no right answer.
And at the end of the day, on the bright side, logistically speaking, way easier to do it with just you because you just got to pack a bag and go, as opposed to moving everything or
It will
whatever
literally just be
process.
this room.
Yeah.
Everything in this room is going in, and that's it.
See, I wouldn't even bring anything in that room. I would bring my computer. I would bring maybe a couple books and then like my clothes. Boom.
I really
Done.
like my standing desk. What about my
Nah.
guitars?
Yeah. I don't play guitar, so I don't have that
What about
attachment.
my amp? So my guitar, my desk, my amp. I've got this really cool.
I don't.
Wait. Let's see if you can.
I
see
don't
this.
have physical attachments other
See
than my
this
laptop.
This blue thing. That's a really nice beanbag chair that my wife got me for Christmas. I need that.
Okay. I mean, I guess maybe I incorrectly assumed that they would just furnish your house with basics like a desk and a chair and all that.
They do, but I don't want their shit. All right, look. Push a button on this. Watch this. This is rising with me. I can stand up.
Yeah, I know. I have one too. I do the same thing.
So great.
I do. They can't afford that. Those things cost not that much money these days. They're like $500 or less.
Oh, look at you, Mr. Moneybags.
I'm not the government. You're
They're not going to buy me one. This will come out of my own coffers.
bro, I don't know what they're going to pay for and what they're not going to pay for.
I'm going to use my Trump bucks. That's what I'm going to use.
Yeah.
He gave us a bunch of money just for free.
It's because we're getting all this money from Venezuela soon.
No, this is before that.
No, I'm saying it's happening in the future. So it's going to happen. Like
No, if
all
anything,
that money
would
would
just
come
be me
from
down there, like shooting Venezuelans to take their oil.
Oh my god. Yeah. And apparently maybe Mexico, right?
Greenland.
And Greenland. Like we're just anyway.
Empire building.
What?
Empire building.
I heard what you said. I don't understand what you meant.
Just taking nations.
Oh, Empire. I was thinking like you're like Empire State Building, and I was really confused. I was like,
How much coffee you got left in there?
dude, I'm out. I'm out. I have no more. I don't have more. I have to make it. Fuck. Hold on. Let me ask Kirsten. She can make me coffee. Hold on a second.
I would like a sandwich and a coffee.
That reminds me, there was this one time I was like really stressed and really strapped for time with something. And at one point, Kirsten was like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but do you want me to make you a sandwich?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, please. That'd be great. I appreciate it.
You texting her?
Yes. I'm going to do one of those awkward smiley faces. Where are they? Where is it? God. There it is. Okay. What are we talking about? Empire building. Empire State Building. So,
Yes.
recently. Wait, what do you want to talk about first?
Either
Because
one.
I don't know what were the remaining topics again?
So Sinners, is that wrapped up in Pluribus?
Is it? I don't think so.
Okay.
Or oh yeah,
how
it
we-
kind of is. It kind of is, I guess. I don't know how you want to transition from one to the other. So I'll let you take it. Fucking you go.
Sure. So I think I will start with Pluribus. So I started watching Pluribus, and I think I started watching a little bit before you. It is
Yeah, you
currently-
did. I only watched it because you recommended it, and you said,
Did I?
You said I got through episode 3. I'm not moving on, and I specifically was just like,
That's not a recommendation.
well, yeah, but you said watch it. You said watch it and let me know. And
Oh,
also you said something that was interesting because I was just like, I don't know. I don't want like a thriller because the premise seems like it'd be that. And you're like, it's not a thriller. You should just watch it and kind of see how you feel, essentially.
Man, I love that you like completely sane washed whatever I said. I don't remember it being cogent.
Well, you just said you're not moving forward. You're like, I'm not moving forward. And you mentioned she's like the last Karen on Earth, which I
Okay.
get.
That
which
is
that is accurate. No,
Okay.
I don't think anyone's going to argue with you on that one.
Yes. All right. So critically acclaimed show from Vince Gilligan.
Because it's really fucking good.
I'm not finishing it. So known for Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, things of that nature, and people love it. Like I said, it is Apple TV's newest darling, their hit show. I think their most watched show ever up to this point, and it centers around a character who I think the marketing says she's the worst person on earth, and she's one of the last. Right? There is.
Did the marketing actually say she's the worst person on earth?
I'm pretty sure.
That's, well, see, yeah, they know.
Gonna have to look. And so the idea is that she just becomes one of the last humans on Earth because of circumstances that I don't want to spoil here. And I did not, and that was it. Do I need more? Do I need more setup than that?
No, I mean, I think the thing you talked about, last Karen on Earth, you found her to be insufferable as a character, and the way I saw it was, I got what you're saying, but I had a very different perspective, uh, because, and on some level, this brings to me up a lot of issues I have with, and I'm trying not to sound old,
Uh
younger viewers and readers.
oh. Mm-hmm.
I
Oh, I know
wouldn't
what
say
you're gonna
young.
say.
I don't want to say
I
younger.
know what you're gonna say.
I want to say modern readers and viewers who have a hard time with actual empathy and kind of understanding where a character is coming from. And it becomes less of where is this character coming from, and it more of this person isn't doing what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's just like you're missing, not you specifically, but like you're missing the point. The point is like, oh, why is she so angry? I'm like, bitch, these people took over the earth and are just going like, join us, join us. What are you talking about? It's kind of like back in Breaking Bad, speaking of Breaking Bad, when everyone was mad at Skyler
Yeah.
for, getting in Walt's way. And I'm like, she was just trying to survive a really bad
Save her
situation.
son.
And there was no right answer to what she was doing. And the things that she did that were quote unquote annoying, I get, because she was trying to like have some power in her situation, with her affair with her boss, right? And all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I had a hard time with a lot of criticism. Granted, she's still terrible. She's still really annoying, very entitled. But at the same time, think about where she came from. She came from, well, a couple of things. One, she over time has become increasingly embittered by humanity because when she was younger, her parents tried to do conversion therapy, which made her lose a lot of faith in people, which made her incredibly constantly hostile and on edge. And then the first thing that happens when the world turns is her wife gets killed by them, essentially, accidentally, but essentially. And she is literally grieving throughout this entire process, making, frankly, irrational decisions. Because at the end of the day, when she's making those, meeting those other survivors, it's been 24 hours, maybe 4 to 72 hours since her partner died. And she's still going through that completely alone. Seeing all these other people who, yes, they are lone survivors, but they still have the bodies of their family members. So there's still a little bit there that they're connected with that she isn't. So she is truly alone. And who wouldn't be hostile in that situation? And maybe you specifically, I think both you and me are kind of similar in that, I mean, you're in the military. I think there's at least a part of you that is very much, hey, tell me what to do. I will fall within what you need me to do and I'll get it done and I'll do it well. I think I have that sort of mindset. And in this mindset, I'm like, hey, these people, they bring structure. They're nice. They're doing favors. I can fall within that structure and make things work. It kind of clashes with the way she does things. And that's not even taking into account the trauma. So I saw a very, very interesting character study layered in with very interesting questions about humanity that made it really fun to watch. Each episode, while slow, it was literally just asking really interesting questions and mulling them over in unique ways. And made me really appreciate Vince Gilligan's style, because I remember watching Breaking Bad, and in that opening arc where they keep that guy in their basement,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like other shows, like we would probably like fast forward to beyond after all the bad stuff happened into like, oh, okay, moving on to the next thing. Whereas he like lingers on the step by step by step. Like, oh, he's dead. Now what? Oh, we got to cut him up. Oh, we got to boil his body down in like a vat and this and that. Like each painful step is being addressed. And that same approach is taken to these sort of philosophical questions brought about in Pluribus. And so while I hear what you're saying and I hear what the internet is saying, I am not sure many people are taking into account literally where is she coming from as a human and realistically how people would act in that situation or could act in that situation. And I think there's also enough variability between how all the different survivors react to it that they kind of fill in those slots of maybe how person X, Y, and Z might react.
Yeah. And so I recall my pushback to that was there is so I didn't know about the conversion therapy because I don't think I had made it that far. My pushback to that was there's a moment where you see her before, let's call it the blip, before the blip, and she's still just as miserable. And I get that that might have been based on what happened with the conversion therapy or whatever, but they show a moment with her wife. They show them in a moment of semi normalcy. They're on vacation, and she's uh, apparently, to my eyes, still the same person. And so that's what made it hard for me to feel the thing where it's like I already didn't like her, and now you're showing me in a moment before where she's not that different. And so that was the part where I struggled with that. And then the the other part that I got frustrated with, there's a contingent online that you brought up Skylar. Like, oh, you just hate her because she's a woman. It's like, no, that's not it. Like, I just genuinely don't like the way this person is being. It wouldn't matter if they were a man. It wouldn't matter if they were a woman. I just don't care for them. And it kind of made me laugh because I wondered if how intentional the Air Force One part was, because you have her sitting in what presumably would be the president's chair on Air Force One. I don't know if that clicked at all to you, and I thought that that was very interesting.
What I assumed is that she called the meeting, so inadvertently they're like, okay, we're sitting around. What did you want? What do
Not
you
her
want to
plane though.
discuss? Not her plane, but also she called the meeting.
But I think that there's a part of me that feels like that was intentional.
Probably.
She is on what is an internationally recognized place of power, sitting in the seat of power, and it's very interesting the way that she is at first pleading with them and then dictating to them and then saying "fuck all of you" on the plane. And
I
it
mean,
feels
they're all like, they gave up. They gave up 48 hours or
yeah.
24 hours into a hostile
She's like,
takeover.
"What's the plan?" And I thought that that was a very intentional move. I thought it was a smart move from the writers and creators. I kind of liked that aspect of it, but again, I don't care for her.
No, that's
Um,
fair. But I do want to go back to the ice hotel thing you talked about really quick.
oh wait, so I'm sorry. Last thing,
Okay.
and then the last
Continue.
thing was I loved, again, just to bring it back to Save the Cat, which was like trying to recall the moments in this that they were trying to, not that they were trying to do the thing. I felt like this did not the opposite. It very much did
Subverting
not
it.
seem to care. Yep. It was
Yeah.
subverting this idea of like the Save the Cat moment.
Yeah. I
So I'm
mean,
sorry, Ice Hotel.
something that, so hold on, save the cat. Let me go ahead and make a note here. So the ice hotel. You're right, but here's how I read that scene. She was kind of insufferable, kind of
Mm-hmm.
being like a wet blanket, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
wet towel, whatever you want to say that terminology, on like a pretty cool experience. Is it wet
Yep.
towel or wet blanket?
Blanket.
Blanket, wet blanket.
You know what's even
Pretty cool
worse? Wet
experience.
socks.
Oh yeah, that'll give you hypothermia. Um, but anyways, wet blanket. What I saw was this. She has always battled this internal anxiety when things don't go her way. And the person who kept her centered was her wife. She was the only one keeping her remotely grounded and keeping her remotely tolerable. And then now she's gone. That person is dead. And now she has to deal with everything by herself. Of course, she would go off the deep end. Of course, that would happen. So that's how I saw it. I saw it as more of just highlighting further how much she needed that companionship. And it's not only is that companion not there, but no one is there. She's got
Yeah.
nobody other than a hive mind trying to cater to her every whim.
I think the fact that she has no one else is very much a situation of her own creation.
Also highlighted, her family probably rejected her because she was gay.
Even beyond her family, though. Like,
I know.
yeah. So,
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, frankly, they would be gone anyway. Even if she didn't have anybody else, they'd be gone.
yeah. What I would say to that is one of the things that I think we as humans do is most of us, like community. Like
Yes.
up until this point, I think at this point, I think I've known you for like 8 years. So like you and Tanya and Danny, has it been that long? 7, 8
I
years?
think
And
it's
so,
2017, 2018. It's been around
yeah.
there. Yeah.
And so just the idea of even beyond your family, finding people that accept you for you is what we do. Most people do as people. And the fact that she'd gone that long in her life and there was just this one person that could do that for her, that's her. That's
Sure.
because of her. And
But
so there's
that's
one of my
like
favorite sayings
that
is
is a trauma response.
yeah, the common denominator in all your relationships is you.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot. And so uh, this is not a suggestion. This is just because I can't suggest something to someone that has a successful TV show. I don't know that I would be able to tolerate this person as the main character, not because they do things that um, I don't necessarily agree with. I think that they're just not a person that I enjoy watching because I
Mm.
feel like a lot of what has happened to them beyond the trauma is them.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Objectively, you are correct. But at the same time, like you're correct. Like this is on them. But because we're talking about a person and because we're
Yep.
talking about people, uh, that happens all the time.
Hmm.
That's people. That is just how people are. And for me, I'm not necessarily being like, oh, I only want to follow somebody who like acknowledges their mistakes and doesn't make those mistakes or doesn't do their decisions, blah, blah, blah. Like sometimes it is interesting watching somebody in a really tough place with some really bad issues that they have to go through that and them trying to cope or them kind of going off. Like I'm trying to one thing I imagine or one movie I remember, Bridesmaids,
Hmm.
that was Kristen Wiig spiraling for 2 hours.
Yeah,
And she
but
was
it's funny.
making all of the wrong decisions, but it was funny.
But it's
Some of it
funny.
was funny. Some of it's funny here, but I can get that. But my point is that that's just human. That's just being human. Is there are lots of people who just make the wrong choices, and you're like, oh, well, that's on them. I'm like, yeah, but they still are coming from a place. There's a reason they are that way, and it's interesting to consider why are they making those decisions? Why are they that way? What exactly happened in their past to make them? And that conversion therapy, especially, and this happens later, whatever, spoiler ish, not really, but basically, Zosha, who is like her handler, so to
Hmm.
speak, um, talking, hey, we do this. We want you to join us because we love you. We need you to do this because we love you. You're drowning and you don't even know it. Probably similar language to what she faced in conversion therapy. And I could just imagine just how triggering that could be to make her make really wild decisions or make really, really hard lines in terms of how she acts with these people. I
I
don't
can
know.
see that. I just, yeah,
But you are not alone. And not only alone in that, but alone in that, frankly, white woman mentality aspect to it. The entitlement that a lot of people see, the quote unquote white women. But one thing I thought was really funny, there was one person, and maybe you saw this. No, you weren't. You were on social media. They said this show would be a million times better if this was the show. And it was the Pluribus ad, except instead of Carol, it was a black woman. And I'm like, bro, if a black woman was acting this way in a
we'll
show,
lose our minds.
people would lose their goddamn minds. Like, it would it be if it was exactly the same except a black woman, off the charts complaints. Like people, like literally, the way I see it is people are, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I might be out of line. The way a lot of people are having discourse about Karen is sort of like angry black woman sort of comments. They're kind of talking about her as they would that. At least that's a lot of what I've seen. But obviously, feel free to correct me there.
The only reason I disagree is because I think that there's more acceptance of it.
Okay, like me.
There's more. Yeah, I think there's just more acceptance of her behavior to because to your
Yeah.
point, had it been a black woman, I think the vast majority of folks would be against everything
But
she
I
said.
think there's a lot of people who are against it. I saw
Yeah,
so many people against it.
but it's hard to be the most watched show if
That's a good point.
you know.
That's a good point.
So there are enough people that tolerate it to the degree where they're like, yeah, this
I
works.
mean, it's a really good fucking show. Like, it is so good. I get where you're coming from, but it is a very good show.
Yeah, it's well written. It's just a lot of people talking. The dialogue is interesting. I just have no interest in watching this person's journey.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Um, and so let me know if you want to transition to Sinners
Let's do it. I mean, this seems like a good
because
transition. You can link them right now through this. What's
so
happening?
that was my frustration, right? This thing that is lauded. People just love it. It's the best show. The awards, they're talking about this, that, and the other. On the flip side of that was Sinners. And a lot of the discussion that I saw was almost non existent. It seemed like it existed only in and for communities of color. And there's someone that you and I both know, they were just like, I don't get it. Right. They just were not into it. And it was a very interesting perspective. I feel like one of the things that is interesting about Pluribus versus Sinners, there seems to be some sort of cultural requirement to be able to accept the just the basic premise.
Hmm.
You have to be okay with Karen being a Karen to be able to enjoy this show. And I think there are some aspects of Sinners where you have to be able to appreciate some aspect of a different culture, be it the music, be it the actors who are in it, to be able to just let yourself enjoy it. And with Sinners, the frustration for me was the fact that there were so many people not talking about it. And when I say so many people, I mean white Hollywood broadly. And so you would see it absent from Variety's top 25 films of 2025 or Rolling Stone's top films of 2025 or top films of 2025. And that was frustrating because I remember when it first came out, the narrative was like, oh, it had a good opening weekend, but is it going to be profitable? No one would talk about F1 in the same manner. Everyone gave that much more leeway when they had that discussion about it. They would say, about Sinners, like, well, profitability is a long way off. And this was frustrating to me. And so to watch these two narratives about these two different, they're different mediums, but to watch that develop was frustrating.
Yeah. No, that's you make a few different points in there. Starting off with one, and this is a weird pull, but I think it is. I could see a lot of comparisons to Turning Red,
Mm-hmm.
where
That's
it
not a
comes
weird pull
down
at
to,
all.
yeah, well, it comes to like the weird quote unquote default culture, right? The default white culture in the US. If it is not, if you don't have a character or you don't have a lead that is the default quote unquote white life or white culture or American culture, then all of a sudden it quote unquote can alienate or it requires a certain level of buy-in. It's almost like you have genre, like a fantasy genre, like is the element, the extra element of having to buy in, right? To something that is from the norm, an extra layer, an extra hurdle for you to have to buy into it. And for Turning Red, it was an Asian girl in the 2000s. So many people are like, oh, she's not relatable. I'm not an Asian girl from the 2000s, blah, 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 blah. Never mind that I knew so many girls back then who acted just like that, who were just like that, Asian or not. All of a sudden, there's that extra layer. But I also grew up in California, so I did know a lot of Asian people. So I think maybe there was that as well. But yeah, so there's that. And then that I could see with Sinners. It's like, it's not just you have that extra layer. It's deeply steeped in black culture of a certain era. And also, there's that genre aspect to it, which is like the second half of it, the vampire aspect of it, that is an extra layer. And I feel like once you add in, especially white Hollywood, there is that hurdle of like non-white movies, because you can't just be a movie, you have to be a black movie, right? um there's that layer, but then there's the genre layer as well. So, oh, not only is it a black movie, but it is genre, it is fantasy, so it is not as prestigious as
Well,
something else
and
that we have.
I would hesitate to call it fantasy. I would just say horror, right? Because if you say fantasy, there is a different connotation and an expectation that people that look like you and me are absent from fantasy.
Yeah.
Like we're fine being in horror movies, but if you have something like that's like high fantasy or fantasy gear, we do not exist, and I feel like that is the fantasy.
And if they do, you got a lot of people complaining about it. I remember they had the colorblind casting for Wheel of Time, and
Mhm.
everyone's just like, "Oh, there's too many people of color in this show." Except they didn't say people of color.
I'm going to pull the exact quote that you're talking about from the Turning Red controversy because I think it's relevant here. So Cinema Blend's managing director, Sean O'Connell, talked about Turning Red. He said, I recognize the humor in the film, but connected with none of it. By rooting Turning Red very specifically in the Asian community of Toronto, the film legitimately feels like it was made for director Domashi's friends and immediate family members, which is fine, but also a tad limiting in its scope. And so
That
as
is
you,
fucked. Fucked.
it's crazy. And so going back to Sinners, like this is rooted in the South. It is rooted in the music of Black people. It is rooted in all of those things. And I feel like if Sean O'Connell reviewed this film, he would say the exact same
Did
thing.
he review this film? Have you looked? Now
I
I'm
did not. I
curious.
didn't bother.
I'll look it up in a second. But O'Connell. How do you spell
Uh,
his first name? Is it
Sean?
Sean? Okay, Sean O'Connell. So the
Yeah.
reason I do want to touch back on the Turning Red thing a little bit as well. Uh, what was it? Can you repeat the quote from him on Turning Red?
I recognize the humor in the film, but connected with
Yeah.
none of it.
So there was another. So there's YouTubers that I kind of pop in and out of. Watch. It's kind of a fandom type thing. The Super Carlin brothers, and they are very Midwest type people. And I remember them. They're like they thought the movie was good, but I know they also had a hard time connecting with that character.
Mhm.
And I remember, I think it bothered me so much, is they pointed to Inside Out and they're like, anybody can relate to Riley.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, oh, you mean some white girl who plays hockey?
Mhm.
Anybody can relate to Riley. Okay, that's where we're at right now. Okay. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was
To bring it back to Korea, one of the things I always experienced was people in the military generally don't like going to Korea. And part of it is people in the military love going to Europe. They would like to go to Germany, they want to go to Italy, but they don't want to go to Asia. And I always had a theory in my head as to why. And it's because if you go to Italy, if you go to Germany, like to some degree, you think you can blend in. You think that you look like the majority of the folks there. Now, what's funny is the people in those places know that you are not. They know that you're American by looking at you.
mm-hmm.
I don't mind Korea and I don't mind Asia because wherever I go, I stick out. And so this same kind of mentality, I think, exists for these types of films and shows. Like your ability to relate to it is about your lived experience.
Yeah. And people like you and me have had to live our lives not relating to things. Like I remember so many times growing up, there's so many things you just have to like, oh, that's not my experience, but that's just the accepted general experience of living in America. And that's just what you can see. That's what you'll see in movies. Like you're rarely going to see things that really connect with your lived experience unless it's really highly specific. Like growing up for me, growing up now in retrospect, there's a reason why I took to like Robert Rodriguez movies
Mm-hmm.
intrinsically without even realizing it. Seriously, I had no idea why, but
Yeah.
I really took to them. And there's that, and there was like the Selena movie,
Mm.
maybe. I know she was a huge part in my household, but like Selena, the movie, obviously the artist, Mi Familia, the movie, and
Yeah.
then Stand and Deliver.
Mm.
Uh, those are like the four cultural touch points I can think of in movies that
Mm-hmm.
really culturally spoke to my end, just because that was and I didn't even realize why at the time, because you and I had to live. It's like, oh, these are movies, and then these are different somehow, and I couldn't put my finger on why.
This is kind of funny. So there was a deleted tweet that O'Connell sent out doubling down on this idea that he had written in the review. Some Pixar films are made for universal audiences. Turning Red is not. The target audience for this one feels very specific and very narrow. If you are in it, this might work very well for you. I am not in it. This was exhausting.
Oh, I
He
remember that
deleted that tweet.
review. Who wrote that again?
That's Sean O'Connell. So he
Oh, that
shared
was
the
Sean
review.
O'Connell.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that was him again. And so he doubled down on what he'd been saying in his review. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's just like all of a sudden, wait, I can't visualize myself in the movie. What's the point?
But it
This
goes to
also
your point
reminds
about the
me.
universality. Who is the default?
Speaking of that, so also romance readers. Nothing against romance readers. I'm sure many of you are fine, but there is one Threads post where someone's like, so to male readers of of romance, to male readers of romance, who do you imagine yourself in the story? Because in their mind, it's like, oh, romance, first person, I am the main character. Actually, no, they said, no, they didn't say, did they say male romance? They either say male or they said third person narrators. If there's a third person narrator, who do you imagine yourself in the story? And it's just like, nobody. I never imagined myself in the story. I imagine the characters in the story. Like, there is not a need for you to actually be a part in the story. There is no need for you to do that. There are some that can, but like there's this weird thing nowadays where it's like, oh, I need to be able to visualize myself and connect with them on a personal level. Otherwise, it's not
Yeah,
worth watching.
that's what people lost their mind. So I'm going to hate myself for bringing this up.
Oh
This
no.
is the problem with The Last Jedi.
Mm.
People are Luke Skywalker. People are Luke Skywalker. And so what people perceive that Ryan Johnson did with him, people hate because he did it to them.
Ooh, that's you know what's ironic is the people that complain about it are more like Luke in that movie than they really give themselves credit for. So it's
Yeah.
kind of accurate. It's
Yeah.
accurate too.
Mhm. So that
Oh,
was, and I don't know if I ever said this to you, but I definitely remember saying this to a friend of mine. Like the reason why it doesn't bother me as much and why I could see the story narrative going that way is because I didn't identify with Luke. I just,
mm-hmm.
I don't. And so I'm
He was
like, yeah,
boring.
this makes, well, it's not even a boring versus entertaining thing. I can see the story threads of, yeah, this is what his mentors did. Like the person that he is and the person that he became makes sense to me based on where the story went with the people that trained him. So why wouldn't he turn out this way?
Mm.
It's that idea of, I forgot who said, like, I think someone said something like, your kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. And so the idea of him becoming that made sense to me. And for everyone else that identified with him, they were like, no, to your earlier point, it's not what I would have done. And so that all gets tied up in there. And that's the frustration there. So it's just, it is fascinating looking to see, to bring it all together, who people identify with, what they can tolerate watching happening to those characters. And like, if they can't identify with somebody, they're just out. Um, yeah, it's fascinating.
And Sinners, yeah, it is funny because I think it goes to show the power and sort of the weakness of the algorithm as well. Where for me, everyone was talking about Sinners for
Mm-hmm.
months because it's awesome. It's great. It's a cultural touch point, like a American cultural touch point, and it will be, and highly successful. Like you cannot give enough praise to that movie for everything that it did. And so when you're talking about like people aren't respected, I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? But you're talking about specifically like the elite
White Hollywood.
white Hollywood, which is definitely true now that I looked into it. I'm like, oh, he was right. Like it's it is really somehow fighting an uphill battle in order to gain credibility within those circles. And I don't, well, I get why, but I don't get why at the same time.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
Like
interesting
if Lord of the Rings had all black characters, it would not have won Best Picture
when it got
for
made.
when it got made, especially when it got made. Yeah.
I feel like that should be the movie. That should be the movie.
What, Black Lord of the Rings?
Not even necessarily just a brown one. Just like
Just a brown one.
just brown one. High fantasy film, brown people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Children of Blood and Bones coming out next year. Tomi Adeyemi, who is the author. Yeah, those books
like
too. And the second one sucked.
Yeah.
I liked the first one, and the
First
second,
one's awesome.
yeah, the second one, I was just like, oh,
And the
I
third
didn't
one's
bother
even
with
worse.
it. Oh, I didn't bother
It's
with the
even
third
worse.
one. I did not bother with it, but I'm excited for the movie.
Yeah. I hope they take some editing to it.
I don't mind. I mean, I don't think they need to take editing that much to the first movie as much.
No.
think-
Second and third one. Sorry.
Oh yeah. They'll need to basically do what they did with the Hunger Games, where they made them better. I don't know if you've read the Hunger Games and watched them, but like, the movies are. I think they're significantly
Superior.
better than. Yeah, I think they're significantly better than the books.
Okay, do that. Do that with Blood and Bone. I'll be
Do
excited.
that with Children, Blood, and Bones. Bone.
We good? Did we do the thing?
I think I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanna say or linger
It's
on.
a dense topic.
It is. I mean, and we barely scratched the surface just because of there's so much.
It's because you failed to pitch it to Tanya.
I know, right? I should have pitched it to her. You know, it's funny. Part of me also wondered. I was like, he's probably going to reach out to her too, so maybe she'll come on. And I was like, oh, I guess not.
Nope.
I guess not.
Nope.
All right. Well, I guess unless you have anything else you want to talk about, that's a good point too.
I've said all the things.
You said all the things. Hopefully, Sinners is Sinners in the running for anything. Is there any like nominations for the Oscars at all that are in the works? Or
now you're gonna make me look.
at the very least, costumes, right? I mean, come on. Who did the costumes for Sinners? Was that Ruth Carter?
I'm not in the costume.
Ruth Carter.
world.
Yes. I mean, come on. Look at those suits that they were wearing, man.
So
They look
Critics'
so
Choice
good.
Awards, Best Nominee, 2026 nominee, Best Director, Supporting Actress, winner for Best Casting / Ensemble, and then Best Actor nominee. So this is at the Critics' Choice Awards.
I know it did pretty good at the Critics' Choice Awards, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And then lots of nominations at the Chicago Film Critics Association Awards. Did it win? Won visual effects. And that's it out of over 10 nominations. Yeah, so it's getting nominations, but it's not.
Projected to
It
win.
won Best Score at the Florida Critics Circle Awards. Golden Globes, nominated. No wins at the Golden Globes.
So we'll see. Oh, wait, no wins. Did the Golden Globes happen?
Oh, maybe you're right. I'm sorry. Hasn't happened yet.
I was just like, the award season isn't quite here yet. Oh, it's this Sunday. It's tomorrow.
Okay, we'll find out. Man,
We'll find out.
we are on topic without even trying.
Yeah. But really quick, like to your point about certain things, and I think I touched on this discussion like on Discord when we were talking about it, was when it comes to like credibility with white Hollywood, it is interesting. You have a lot more, I would say, Latin or Mexican directors who have that credibility, but it's only with their white-centered projects. Like I just think of Alfonso Cuarón from, he did the Harry Potter movie, did what's it called? Gravity. Iñárritu, who did The Revenant. And all of their like other projects like didn't get outside of indie spaces sort of like the credibility there. Like they can't make their Mexican movies
Yeah, no.
or their Mexican culture movies. Like it has to be the white centered ones that actually get any attention, which is just interesting. And part of me is also kind of like, it's kind of nice that y'all get to do your your black culturally focused movies, and we don't get to do ours on our end as much without it being coded in genre. Like literally, go
Yeah.
back to Robert Rodriguez. All of his shit is either white or like high genre stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting.
Team up. Should do a thing.
That'd be
That's
cool.
what I want. That's what I want.
There you go.
That's sad.
All right. Well, now I think I've said all the things.
Now I'm sad.
I'm sorry. Don't mean to end on that note. But anyways, thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you all next time. Maybe. We'll see. We're kind of just winging it.
Just having fun.
Just having fun. Adios.
Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on you.